Okay. Good evening, family. Welcome to Mind Matters, where every Wednesday from 6 to 8 p.m. we explore relevant mental health issues. I'm your host, Dr. Cassandra Wanzo. I'm a psychiatrist in the Atlanta area. I've been practicing for about 28 years. Our co-host is Officer Paul DeVignes, who has an extensive law enforcement background. Hi, Paul.
Hey, Doc, how are you?
I am so excited to welcome into the studio several special guests that we have who are millennials. So they definitely give us a perspective on what's happening now, because Paul and I, we've been around the block a few times. So, so I'd like each one of you to introduce yourselves.
I started off. I'm Ashton Reynolds. I'm 25 years old, entrepreneur with a business, faith-based business called Blessed Coast.
Okay.
My name's DaVonte Price. I'm also 25 years old, and I'm from Forest Park, Georgia.
Okay.
And I'm Wilden Reynolds, and I'm 19 years old, and I'm a black basketball player.
Okay. So I know you're going to be able to offer some exciting insights on our topic.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is our first show of 2020, which is a new year and a new decade.
Right.
And I hope everyone had a really blessed holiday season. Our topic this evening is a very, very serious one. The topic is teen suicide, or the teen suicide crisis, specifically the Black teen suicide crisis. So I'm sure most of you are familiar with the situation, the very tragic situation of Bryce Gowdy in Florida. It was a very tragic death by suicide. Bryce Gowdy was 17 years old. He was scheduled to attend Georgia Tech January 6th.
Oh, wow.
He died December 30th by walking in front of a freight train in Deerfield, Florida, which is near Fort Lauderdale, about 20 miles from Fort Lauderdale. He was to attend Georgia Tech on a full athletic scholarship. He had graduated a semester early. He was involved in the International Baccalaureate program. He was a stellar student, outstanding athlete, and he was to attend Georgia Tech. And he went in front of a freight train December 30th. The mother posted a video, which I did watch. I mean, I was in tears, boo-hooing. And I did watch the end of the video, but I mean, I was down for a while after reading the video, seeing the video. It was so tragic. He died about 4 a.m. in the morning. So on the video, when I watched the video, the mother detailed what had happened the days before he died. The family was homeless and living in the car. I mean, that was the first situation that really struck me. I don't know if the school knew, coaches or whatever, but they had been homeless. So it was the mother, Bryce, and his 2 younger brothers. He was the oldest. So like I said, when I watched the video, I was literally in tears. She said, "My baby walked in front of a freight train." So with tears streaming down her head, she described how they had been dealing with homelessness and financial strain. They were living out of their car. The hours in the car, she talked about how he was much more talkative. He talked about different signs that he was seeing. He was very paranoid. It was very stressful for her. She described how it was stressful for her because she said, she told him that she wasn't strong enough to help him. She told him, "You have to dig in and fight these demons that you're fighting." She said, "I have my own demons." She said, "I have my own demons that I was trying to fight." The grandfather said that he was concerned about having to take care of the family and being the oldest. The mother said the day before he had been talking crazy and talking in circles. I mean, this is such a tragedy. Do you know that there's been a GoFundMe account established? They've raised $122,000 after the fact. And his funeral is going to be this Saturday. I mean, I don't know what your thoughts and reactions. I mean, this really touched me and hurt because it didn't have to happen. It didn't. The signs were there, but the mother had her own stresses that she couldn't deal with.
It is very sad, and I actually came across that story when I was on Instagram, and when I seen it, I knew his name. I thought it was just going to be something like, oh, okay, you about to go to Georgia Tech? Okay, you committed. I thought it was like a commitment post, like you committed to Georgia Tech, and you about to let everybody know that you're going. And as you slide to the left, and you read on, come to find out, he passed. And he wasn't murdered, and he took his own life, and then you just see all that he had to deal with and things like that. And some of the things that he dealt with kind of touched home because there was a time in my life when I was like 18, 19, just getting out of high school, and I already knew what I wanted to do, but my mother, she had gotten sick. Our mother, I should say, because Will is my brother. Okay. And so when she got sick, I was on my way to Kennesaw State, but I chose to stay home and had to become the man of the household. I actually was the man of the household since age 9 when she had her first stroke, and she passed away due to complications of strokes. So the pressures of not only trying to make your parents proud, but also overcoming the inner problems, the mental battles that you face as a result of stepping into such a gigantic role. You don't want to let yourself down. You don't want to let your family down. You don't want to let anyone down. And then on top of that, the stereotypes that comes into play. It's a big fight that requires you to be strong. And when you pour out so much of yourself and you don't have somebody else to pour back in you what you gave out, that's a fight that, you feel like you're going to lose. But luckily we have a family of faith, and we overcome it. I was just so sad that happened to such a talented person with a bright future.
It's funny you should say that. Yeah, two 25-year-olds and a 19-year-old. The highest suicide rate currently in the United States between the age of 15 and 19. Wow. Teens and young adults are the fastest rising segment for suicide. And gentlemen, as black males, you have so many stereotypes on you, as well as peer pressures, as well as how you're going to fit into this world, who you're going to be in this world, why are you going to be inside, are you going to be given an opportunity in this world? That it's rough for you guys each day to probably get up and try to figure out what you're going to do next. Now, you at 19, you still within that risk factor. I have two 25-year-olds. I'm pretty sure at that age, either one of you know somebody who's either committed suicide or been killed on the streets by now.
Do you all know someone who has died by suicide? Do any of you know of anyone?
Well, there was a situation when I was in high school where there was a young woman who committed suicide my junior year.
Oh, wow. What high school was this?
Mount Zion High School.
Okay.
And it was a very, very unfortunate situation, and it touched a lot of people who were there.
Wow.
Was there grief counseling from the school for the student body?
Not that I remember, to be honest with you. The most that I thought was just they would have people come together. They had a segment where people could come together and meet, I guess, in the cafeteria and just discuss.
Did you know her? Did you know the young lady?
I didn't know her personally. I knew her by name, through other people I knew through the school.
Wow. Do you know anything of the personal issues that she was going through? Anything?
None at all, to be honest. She seemed like a happy person.
And that's the crazy thing. Not to cut you off, you see all of these people that when you find out that they passed away, when you come into contact with them, you don't see any signs of things going on. Like they're joking, they're laughing, carrying on.
And that's where you really got to pay attention to your friends. I'm a CIT officer, which means that we're the ones in the police department who deal with people with mental health issues. CIT stands for Crisis Intervention Team. When we deal with people, when family members call and say, just like young man Bryce, where his mother said was talking crazy, or he wasn't making sense, or he was seeing demons, that person right now is going through crisis. See, that is your sign. That is that time when you have to make that decision to contact a mental health professional. People are afraid to call the police because they figure we're going to come and kill their family. I know we've made a lot of mistakes and things that happen. I'm sure as young black men, y'all have had experiences with the police that some may not have been very pleasant. But at the end of the day, keep this in mind. There are those of us who are trained specifically to work in that mental health community, and even more so, each one of you, believe it or not, have the ability to recognize and say something when you see your peers. Why? When somebody start talking, as they say, crazy, there's no such thing as talking crazy. Someone is saying irrational stuff. Whatever their mind is going through, whatever psychotic moment they have, that's that period. That's when you don't look at it and laugh or something or say they crazy. That's when you say to yourself, you know what, Mike don't talk like that. Oh, what's wrong with Steve? Come on, man, for real. It doesn't take long to see what's a joke and what's reality.
Right. Like the mother told him, like, to toughen your mind up, and because I have my own demons, so she was trying to tell him, like, trying to ignore the signs and telling him to toughen up. That should have been the time when she should have taken him to get help.
That's what triggered and this is only a speculation because he's no longer here. But when people tell you toughen up, man up, act grown, you're not a kid, understand these are triggers now because you already got all these pressures on you. But when somebody's telling you you're not being mature about a situation, first of all, they should take the time to understand your situation.
Right.
And if you are not making sense to them, I will immediately respond to somebody's telling me they're going through something. Something's not right. Or they start saying crazy stuff. Whether it's a friend, family, co-worker, it doesn't matter. I dealt with so many people in my career who I would call went in crisis. At that point, I'm not judgmental. It's no longer officer friendly now. You take on a position of being a counselor to start to understand what this person going through. When I come to your house to deal with a situation, I don't personally know you. I don't know nothing about you. But I talk to you long enough to see if you're rational. You may look normal. Like you said, there's no signs. There's always signs. And it's no fault of yours because everybody here got to know what signs to look for. When you having a conversation, they talk to you regularly and you thinking, okay, they're good, they're normal, and all of a sudden they're telling you, you hear it, hey man, you see that pink elephant walking across the street? When's the last time you seen a pink elephant in the West End?
I ain't never seen that.
And literally, it happens. And it's like, and God, me and God was sitting right here. You want to come in and meet God? Yeah, I want to come in and meet God. I do. You talk to him long enough, you start to realize something's not right. You don't want to leave that person like that, whether they're suicidal or not. Because now I know somebody's in crisis. Like your schoolmate, you didn't know the young lady commit suicide. Even if you knew her at that time, you probably wouldn't have known what to do to help her.
Exactly.
So like warning signs you want to look for, like if someone has a change in their behavior or personality, like someone who was formerly outgoing and they become withdrawn, they stay home. So changes in personality or behavior, that's something that's very important to look for.
Especially if they start referring to you or your relationship or everybody else in the past tense. Y'all take care of yourselves.
Like,
I'm gonna miss you.
Bryce, he said, he was asking his mother, will the boys be okay without me? So he made some references to that, asking his mother, will his brothers be okay without him?
These are key words, extremely important key words, because now they're telling you, I've already made this decision. Only thing you don't know is when and how. And it's, first of all, understand this. If you realize this and you make the decision to get them help, you're not hurting them. You're not getting them in trouble. Actually, you're helping them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you got to dial 911, when our operators say, what's the emergency? Say, I have a friend in psychiatric crisis. They're talking irrational. Do you want us to send the police? Yeah, I need you to send a CIT officer. I'm going to use that little acronym CIT because it stands for Crisis Intervention. Now, for you to remember crisis intervention, everything that goes is not part, but you may remember CIT. And a good dispatch will immediately say, are they in psychiatric crisis? Are they going through? Is the person, are they armed? They ask you all these little questions. Most of them you may not know. But give as much information as you can. And at that point, we're going to send an officer there who's specially trained for dealing with people in crisis or mental health crisis, because that's what we do. Furthermore, please, please, please understand you're helping them, not hurting them. They're not going to get in trouble for having mental health episode. There's no legal law that I know of in the United States of America. Are you a criminal because you have a mental health issue? You said earlier, the stigma.
Stigma is one of the biggest barriers, because especially in the African American community, we feel like, oh, we're Black people, we're strong, we're used to struggles, we don't kill ourselves. And so, there's often a denial that there are mental health issues. I was reading like some of the posts on, when the mother was giving her video. I mean, some of the people were so harsh and, saying, oh, all you needed was just to go to church and pray. And, religion is important, but you still need to get mental health treatment.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as going to church to resolve a mental health issue. That's the reason God created psychiatrists, therapists, counselors, mental health facility, psychotic meds. We all were brought in households where, our religion's supposed to be the base of everything we do. We pray for this, we pray for that. You can't pray for righteousness or resolution if you don't put the actions and the people behind it to be able to give you that. We used to laugh and think Black people don't go to psychiatrists. We don't do that. Well, you know what? Black people right now is one of the highest groups for suicide in the United States, including adults and teens. Yeah. Because we don't know how to seek help when we need it.
Listen to this. Suicide deaths among Black females aged 13 to 19 rose 182%.
That's wild.
Read that again. Suicide deaths among Black females ages 13 to 19 rose 182% between 2001 and 2017, while the rates among Black teen males rose 60% during that period. I mean, compared to Caucasians, they had like a drop of 7.5%, but Blacks we're killing ourselves.
Which leads me into the question. Gentlemen, y'all have girlfriends?
Of course.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm single.
My guy's a bachelor, but I'm 3 years.
Well, they say you got 99 problems, but something ain't one. Well, I sit there and tell you. Anybody who dated a woman, I just got engaged, and I just sit there and tell you, it took me most of my adult life to finally agree to get married. Never been married before. She worked every nerve I got. And we haven't even had the ceremony yet. But that's besides the point. I'm learning every day that I'm going to wake up with somebody different. Every day. And some of the things she says and does make me just want to go outside.
I understand.
Just go. I don't even argue no more. Why? Because I realize, one, I'm not going where. 2 is a waste of my time. 3, nothing's going to be resolved. And at the end of the day, sometimes just go, okay, how do you want to do it? And watch her just go and try and do whatever. This ain't working. For real? No. Okay. All right, well, let's try it this way. Oh my God, baby, that was great. I'm not even trying to win any battles. I just want to win the war.
That's right.
Right.
Suicide rates among Black females are rising.
182%.
I got 3 young brothers here, and y'all got a reason why. Give me an idea between y'all 3 why suicide rates will be rising among Black females that y'all love so much.
Because women can't find the right guy that they want to meet.
Okay, relationship. That's one.
Yeah.
That's a good one right there. A lot of sorry brothers out there.
Is it due to the disrespect that they're receiving?
Okay. Brothers don't know how to treat a woman. Yeah, that's a big one too.
really, that's just the same thing. I was gonna say, just the lack of respect that they're getting.
Probably
because they get treated. Not to cut you off, but it seems like when I look at women, because like I said, when I took care of my mother, I just see women and view women like with the highest, utmost respect, because women have to overcome so much due to the fact that they are disrespected far worse than men, because first of all, in our music, we already call it a derogatory terms.
Yes.
And it's conditioned them to the point where they've accepted that and actually turned those derogatory terms into a compliment. And when I see that, and then not only that, but when they're in the broken households and it's just them having to raise a man or raise children in general, and then on top of that, they have to continue to extend themselves even more, and you just nobody's there to help them, or if they feel like they reach out for help, then somebody's out there trying to gain something from them.
The superwoman.
Right.
Yeah, the black superwoman.
And I've actually watched my girlfriend have to put on a superwoman cape for me. That's why I have the utmost respect.
When you say put on a superwoman cape, what do you mean?
Meaning I've always provided for my girlfriend. And my account had got hacked. It led to me losing my place. Okay. And the car that I worked so hard for in a short amount of time. Now I managed to get the house and stuff back, but during that time period right there, she stepped in and really had to be the financial person.
She had you back financially.
She had to back me financially. Right. So I seen it, and I seen how it was mentally draining her.
Then I got a question before go another step. You saw somebody come in, step into your life at one of the worst times,
right,
and stabilized it. She reached in her pocket to keep you afloat. What you lost, you started to get back. You find yourself now in a position where you're like, wow, you know, it's going to be all right. Because of her, it's going to be all right. Do you have that same commitment for her?
Of course. Of course. And I was there many a times. That's why I the love that I have for her, the respect that I have for her, it went through the roof.
How long y'all been a couple?
3 years.
Cool. And I'm going to share your little advice. In my wonderful 50 years on this earth, I have never, ever been married. I've had great relationships, amazing women. I look at the 2 children that I have that sometimes work every nerve I got to, but they're the best part of my life. Separate mothers. I spent my life loving women. Never had a desire to get married. Never been my thing. Y'all follow me so far, right? Now, I just hear you tell me about a woman who held you down at a time when you lost everything. 3 years. And I'm not trying to advocate push you into marriage. But what I'm trying to say, if she has really held you like that, and she's been so down with you, if you know the struggle she went to, I'm pretty sure there are days where she didn't know how she was going to make it. She carrying herself and she carrying you.
You basically saying I found the one, and
I'm not saying you found her. I'm asking you, did you find the one?
Of course, and I knew she was the one when I first, like, you know, some people say cliche, like when you first met her, but I've known her for 13 years. Like I've known her for a while before we started dating.
Cool.
So it's like the qualities that she has, I already knew. I was like, okay. That's the one, because she was my best friend before we got together.
Nice.
So she's still my best friend.
Now we getting somewhere.
And so she gonna watch. She gonna watch this. So I was basically engagement is right around the corner.
I'm bringing it around for a reason, because
that's the point. I'm trying to understand what the point. Your point.
And the point is this: do you know any moment she went through where she had mental crisis, where she was in a situation where possibly suicidal? But at the very least, so emotionally distraught that she needed somebody, that you had an opportunity to be there for her.
Yes. Yes, it was.
What was it like for you?
It hurt because I've never. She's the type she's so tough, she had to be tough because she's the oldest. She was the
oldest. That's that mental, the
Yeah.
myth, the cape of being a superwoman, feeling that you have to put on a strong front.
Right.
Where deep inside you could be really hurting and depressed and sad, but it's this kind of cape that you have to, like you said, put on.
And what I had did was because I would look into her eyes and I would see past that, and I was like, "Yeah, something." I'm like, "Something, you okay? Are you all right?" And you know,
and you always
like,
say, "Yeah, I'm okay."
Yeah,
okay.
And I had, and after a while, I just started seeing it. I just started peeling back because she's strongest. She's the strongest person I know, and I just peeled.
Hold
back.
that thought right there. The biggest mistake we make is suicide, and this is from a family, friend, those who are close to point of view. It's always the ones that we say was the strongest one of the bunch.
Right.
They're the ones everybody turned to. They're the ones who took care of everybody's family. When you are the strongest one in your social group, that sets you up for the stress because you carrying everybody else's weight.
Exactly.
Everybody comes to you. It puts you in a position now. Nobody's there for you. Why? Because you're so strong. Everybody assumes you don't need it.
Right. Right.
I know you got this.
That sounds about right.
Like in this case of Bryce, because he was feeling like he's the oldest and he's got to, keep the family together and they're all depending on him. Because here he is, he's going to be this superstar, probably making all this money. So there's a lot of pressure on him to take care of the family.
But that's where my point really comes in because, we were taught since we were little, stranger danger. We worry so much about the dangers out on these streets and strangers and things we don't know. How often do we look at what's inside our own households, inside of our own minds? Once you hit middle school, start working your way through high school, you got peer pressure, you got socialization, you got what group you're going to get in, depending on what school, community you live in, you got games, you got to make decisions, you're going to join to get beat up every day. I mean, there's a whole lot of problems, and you're not even old enough to vote yet.
That's true.
It's an interesting statistic that I just have to, surprised me. It's that between 2015 and 2017, Georgia had the highest rate in the nation. I was surprised to see that.
It shouldn't be.
Yeah, wow. Georgia had the highest rate between 2015.
Georgia's one of the fastest growing metropolitan areas in the country. You got people moving here from everywhere, the diversity, the background, which means that even the schools that you go into today ain't the same schools 10 years ago. It used to be either you went to a school that's predominantly white or predominantly black.
Right.
All right.
Now, you got a little bit of everything.
Yes.
And one of the things I think is a blessing that Doc and I didn't grow up with is called internet, Google, all of this stuff. Because
let me tell you, like they did a study, like one of the factors in the increase in black female suicide rate has to do with internet, because women spend more time on the internet, and so it's the reactions, the negativity, the bullying, so it's the negative influences from social media that they are seeing as one of the factors in the higher rate among black female teens.
But you can see that, especially when you look at shows, like how many of y'all look at Hip Hop Atlanta? Or what's the other one? Housewives. Well, I know.
No, I've seen
Housewives of Atlanta. At least I hope not, because when Nikki turns it on, I bounce.
Okay.
But there are shows like that our women, even if the guy doing it all, we that dude who understands. I like to think at this age now, I'm finally getting married, I listen a little better. I'm a little more patient. But I can tell you right now, when they watch those shows, not just how they look and how they dress and how they feel, but that ratchetness that comes with it. You never think when you go to work that your girl may be dealing with that at work. All her girls, especially if she work in a female environment. Something about black women working together is not a good mix for harmony and cohesion. It's really conflict and tension. Yeah. And when your woman get home and she sometimes is really stressed out because of the personal stuff in the job.
Right.
But with the young women, they're saying it's the influences of social media, because more like the young black female teens are in social media. So are you aware of any of your female friends and issues that they have, like when they're on social media and negativity or
Particularly bullying on Facebook.
Yes.
That's what Doc's trying to say.
So
Cyberbullying.
Cyberbullying. That's what they call it. Cyberbullying.
So, are you aware of any issues related to that and your female friends?
You know, I can't think. I can't see the guys themselves really being affected by that.
But it's the females that are affected.
But the
females are affected.
I can definitely see. You know, you have girlfriends or sisters or you know, or female who definitely had, even at the most fights because of something somebody said on Facebook.
I remember an incident. I think you might be familiar with this. You remember at Bab? It was this, and this actually had to do with this guy. I ain't gonna say his name, but he had made a list. He was a homosexual type. He was homosexual, so he had made a list of guys that he liked, and somebody found that list and spreaded it on Facebook.
Hold on. He posted.
Well,
did the person who originally did the list post it? Or
no, somebody else had got a hold of it and put it out there.
Wow.
So it was a rumor going around. Now, nobody knew if it was true or not, but it was a list of guys on there. And as a result of that, they had went to that person and was trying to physically harm him. And that was crazy. That was insane. It was around the time where it was at Bab. Because me and DaVonte went to school together. It was the
now, when
time
you say
of
Babs,
Bab Middle School. That's the name of it. BABB.
Okay.
I wasn't saying bad. Like, it was a bad middle school. But,
and where was it located?
It's in Forest Park.
Oh, it's a bad middle school. All right, keep going. all right, cool. I'm with you on that.
But, yeah, that was a crazy time because it happened around, like, towards the end of the day, around, like, it was an athletic event going on. That
in a middle school.
Yeah.
So we ain't even talking high school.
No, it was middle school.
Middle school.
Yeah. It was in middle school. And I found out about it because I was like in the hallway and I just heard somebody talking about it and I was like,
you weren't on the list, was you? Okay, all right, you ain't gotta answer. I don't want no trouble. Move right along, Doc.
So I wanted to talk about some other facts related to suicide. Because we talked about it like in the situation with Bryce, there were some warning signs. There were some showing that he was going through some kind of mental health issues. And the key thing is most people who die by suicide do have mental health conditions, but they may not have been diagnosed or formally treated. So in his case, he was going through some mental health issues, but they hadn't been diagnosed. Suicide is preventable. Help is available. There's no shame in seeking care.
You guys know the National Suicide Prevention Line? Are you familiar with it?
Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
800-273-8255. Again, for the audience, 800-273-8255. They even have a number you can text, 741-741. And they're supposed to be coming out with that 988 number. I don't think it's in effect yet, a 3-digit number like 911. You can call 988, but they're working on that supposedly in the next month or so. But if you can't
remember all of that, and it's difficult to remember a 1-800 number for anybody, regardless of what age group, gentlemen, 911. Tell the dispatcher this person is having a mental crisis. That right there should set the tone that a good dispatcher say, hey, listen, what officers do I have available who are crisis intervention CIT certified? Which means trained again. And I'm going to keep reiterating that because if you don't remember anything else, remember if I'm going, I can dial 911. And if I'm going to help this person, I need to give all the information. You don't have to know their health background. You don't know how to have the weight, height, social security name, birth date. Oh, the most important thing you need, where y'all at, and then the mental crisis. Right. Once we get there, we can figure out all that once we start helping them. But keep reiterating this person is going through a mental crisis. And that will make a difference for the officers responding. Fair enough?
I want to go through some risk factors for suicide. So if anyone's had a recent or serious loss, that could be loss through death, job, or relationship. So any serious loss, even the loss of a pet. I mean, I've had patients who were suicidal after losing a pet. So, I mean...
Yeah, I got a cat. I can tell y'all right now. Hey, I love fur ballers. That's my dude.
So if something happened, would you? I mean, you feel like you're that attached that it would be that devastating to you?
Okay, listen. All right. I don't got pit bulls rolling in my house. I got a tomcat with an attitude. And it's funny you should say that. My current cat, Lucky, is 3 years old. He'll be 3 years old in April. His dad, Mittens, the kids name him, so you understand why it's Mittens. Anyway, Mittens, 11 years. Mittens ran the household. I was emotionally attached to this cat. No matter who I dated, they fell in love with Mittens. His personality, his style. I come home, he's right there in the window. The door opens, he's right there. He was one of those very, hey, pick me up. Let me tell you about my day. Let's hang out and talk type. And then he made you feel like no matter how bad the day was, that's my dude. Right. Well, it was a moment for me when he passed. He was up there in age, and I really went through a depression for a while. But it wasn't I'm going to hold myself up and go crawl in the corner. I don't want to see nobody depressed. I'm just the opposite. It became like hyperactive. Working a lot more so I don't have to come home and, you know what I mean? Because coming home and not having them there was weird.
But I did have a patient, a female patient, Caucasian, who I had to end up hospitalizing because she was suicidal after losing her pet for like 12 years. And she was like, never married, single, retired. And I had to end up hospitalizing her after the death of her dog. She was suicidal.
Our mom affects us every day.
Yeah,
our mom
affects us.
She lost what?
No, we lost.
We lost.
Your mom. Okay.
It affects us every day.
So any loss, loss.
My brother, he posts.
Yeah.
How long ago did she pass?
2015.
Yeah. Right. Wow. And especially, I guess, around the anniversary of her death, that's usually a hard time.
She passed when I was in 9th grade. And I didn't go to school for like 2-3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, missing basketball practice, all that.
So what's your biggest stress?
What you mean by that?
Okay. What were you going through mentally? Was it like you was sad at being alone? Were you afraid to move on with your life? Did you feel you no longer could do anything without? I mean, what exactly?
It was kind of all that, what you said.
Having been, someone who's lost a parent, I mean, that's like, I think the toughest loss of a parent or a child, either a parent or a child. Those are two really difficult losses to deal with.
Yeah.
I mean, my mother's been gone since 2004, and it's still, difficult for me.
Yeah, I'm just glad that during that time, like, I had such a incredible support.
That's the key word. Support.
Yes, I had a support system. Yeah. Like I call him my brother. My brother DaVonte. Like him, Dontarius, Ronnie Thompson. Those guys right there. It's a couple of more. Justin Kendrick. All of them. Even my older brothers. Like anytime it was something going on, they already knew the situation. Even Aaron Stevens, they knew the situation. They knew that that was a heavy situation that they don't even know anything about because they haven't lost their mother before. But they could tell, we don't want you to slip, because they knew how our mom raised us. And at the same time, I always told my brother, I said, no matter what, I got your back. You see, I'm the type of person that if something happens, like if a challenge occurs, I don't care how big or small it is, I'm like, okay, I can mentally push through that. I prepare myself for it. But when I see my brother, I can look at my brother and there are certain moments where his demeanor changes. DaVonte would notice it. He might go to him and be like, can we play the game? And that's how he'll get comfort. Like, he might not get it from me because, he'll look at me and he hears my voice so much, but if he goes to another brother of ours, then it does something for him.
So you just talked about two important things in helping to protective factors from suicide. One is the strong connections. The stronger connections and support you have, the less likely you are to think about or go follow through with suicide. The other thing is skills, like learning how to deal with stress and problem-solving skills. So the problem-solving skills and the strong connections are 2 key protective factors against suicide.
And we all had that piece at the basketball court. It's a basketball court in our neighborhood, at our old neighborhood in Woodstone. It was a tennis court that turned into a basketball court. Each and every one of us 3, Taj, Elijah, we all would come together, Dontarius, all of our friends, we come together and go to that one court. It was like a place of peace. Anything that we were going through, that's where we went.
Okay.
Yep.
We'd talk it all out right there. Hash it all out, pray about it. Then after that, if there's still some more going on that they didn't want everybody to know, there's always that specific one person that they come to, and we separate and we talk that way. And then we bring it to the forefront. And so that's why everything that I do, I always include them with me. I bring them with me. I let them know what's going on because I need them. And my brother, William Lowe, I always let them know what's going on because they know how to pour back into me what all I pour out. They know exactly what to do, what to say. If I need a laugh, they'll just send me something. They might just come, just text my phone. They might just do anything. And next thing you know, whatever thoughts I had, it's gone.
That makes sense.
So I'm saying, so if you have a friend who, formerly used to hang out and do things, and all of a sudden they're withdrawn and they don't want to hang out, that's the person that's at risk, and you need to reach out to that person, and
right. See,
Doc,
see, there's one important point you got to get out of that. What he just said. You know how the stereotype is, men, we so hard that we don't have feelings. We don't have empathy, sympathy. We don't understand sensitivity, but we do.
Yes.
And the funny thing is, I'm listening to him. My best friend, my boy, my closest boy, we've been together since middle school, you know what I mean? Even with me moving all the way from back around the way to the deep south, we still communicate and talk. And like he said, we have that group, that understanding, that bond. When something's not right, we go on through. Every now and then I get a little text or something that it's just amazing. We don't have to talk for weeks or months at a time.
Right. And it seemed like I just talked yesterday.
Yeah. And out the blue, it's like, and it makes that day because it puts a smile on my face no matter how the day go. But most of the females, older, younger, professional, what have you, that I interact and talk with, personal and professional, most don't have that, especially black females. And it's funny, the last time women I know of a group came together, even hung out and celebrated like that, when the movie Girls Trip came out. Because all y'all girlfriends went somewhere in their girlfriend. You got more women traveling together in groups as females hanging out. Do they have traveling with their man? You got the female to male ratio. Used to be 15-1. I don't currently know what it is. I'm pretty sure it may be higher. Back in the day it was a blessing. But, now it's kind of like, hey, one of them issues that we got to deal through. But going back, when we start talking about suicide rates increasing among black females, this is one of the reasons why. If they don't have strong support with their girlfriends, in terms of, girl, I got you, I know what you're going through, blah, 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 especially when they're dealing with us. Imagine what it's like when we're the only ones that they have that they could turn to, and we have no empathy or understanding. We would share it with our boys because we men, we understand. Right. But most of us can't and don't know how to share it with our women. Now, I can tell you, as a rookie police officer, when I came off FTO, which is field training officer, my first weekend ever working by myself, y'all remember the name East Lake Metals? Okay, we're still a little long, East Lake Metals section, East Atlanta, one of the worst projects in the metro area. They used to call it Little Vietnam.
Oh yeah. I know you're talking about.
Saturday morning, I'm brand new. Somebody told me I'm a police officer now. Go out there and save the world. Well, I'm by myself in a nice little car. I'm driving around early in the morning. I'm working day watch. Next thing I know, I get flagged down. It wasn't even a radio call. It was flagged down people driving through 3rd Street, heading toward Memorial Drive, cutting through East Lake. Had no intent on getting out that car by myself in East Lake Metals. because they told us, listen, you're rolling East Lake, roll deep. Well, gentlemen, I didn't get the opportunity to do that because I got flagged down halfway through. Pull over, people like, there was a shooting. Need you to do something. So I'm sitting there looking, call 911. And then some say, oh yeah, you are 911. All right. Okay, let me tell you how fear can motivate you to get beyond the fear itself. I trained for this. I prepared for this. I was told I'm ready for this. Mentally, I was not. On paper, it says I'm ready. Mentally, I was not. In responding to the situation, I of course, got to the location, crowd of people, found a young lady in her mid-30s. She had a gunshot wound to her chest. Well, first question was, who knew who shot her? Nobody knew. Then somebody said she shot herself. Well, we were trained during a shooting. We have a situation there. First thing is officer safety. We locate this firearm. There's no firearm, but I know this lady shot herself. Where's the firearm? Before I call the EMS in there, I got to make sure the scene is safe for our ambulance people coming as well as all other officers. Mind you, I'm shaking. I'm scared to death. I'm trying to remember everything I was trained to do. Process it, little kid in the crowd. Said, hey, police, I know where the gun at. Took me next door. Under a mattress, somebody hid an old 38 revolver under a mattress. Smith & Wesson. Gun was so old, the bullets was green. Secured the weapon, get back to the lady. Told you. Female, mid-30s. She shot herself dead in the chest. The gun belonged to her father, who lived in East Lake. She didn't. She had a history of mental health illness, found out later on. Well, that wasn't my priority at the time. My priority was trying to save this lady. I knew one of the things I was trained to early in academy was keep them talking, prevent them from going in shock, doing everything I can to keep this person from going into shock. I wasn't concerned about why she was trying to suicide. I wasn't concerned about the issues that led up to it. My concern is I got somebody that I didn't want to die in my hands. As I'm trying to go through and remember everything I need to do to keep her alive, there was very little blood. So as far as first aid at this point, what I was doing verbally and trying to stimulate her mind and keep her breathing and going was more important than trying to do CPR and all that good stuff because she was breathing on her own. Gentlemen, this is the most amazing time you're going to have in your life when you may be the last person somebody may see before they pass.
That she was still alive.
Oh, it was, and mind you, I think I was 24 years old. So you two were older than me at the time, and you were working your way up to that age.
Right.
I was not prepared mentally to be that one to hold somebody as they took their last breath. Seemed like it took forever for EMS to get
Was she able to speak? Did she say anything to you?
She said very little, but I couldn't hear it at all. What I didn't realize, and what couldn't be anything be done anyway, when she shot herself, the bullet didn't exit. It fragmented because it was an old lead round. But what it did, it perforated her internal organs that it made contact with. So she was bleeding out internally. There was little no blood exterior. You see TV, you see somebody get shot in the chest, you see all the... No, it doesn't happen that way in all cases. There was very little blood from the exit, from the entrance wound. There was no exit. But internally, she was bleeding out. She was hemorrhaging. Seemed like it took forever EMS to get here. But once they were on scene, she was still alive. My major priority was to keep her alive until someone above my pay grade, better training, I can get here and take over the situation. I was relieved of duty the rest of the day. I had a great supervisor, shaking like a leaf. I was not my first time out. And he's like, listen, take a deep breath, Hey, listen, after this, I want you to go home. I want you to take the rest of the day. That lady ended up dying in the operating room at Grady. I found that out later. What I'm saying to you, as we talk about, and this was 1996, gentlemen.
2 years old.
This was a black female in their mid-30s. And we said earlier that suicide rates among black females are steadily rising.
Well, that was like 50%. 50% of suicides involve firearms. 50%.
And, you know, and for our listeners out there, if you get an opportunity, give us a call at 678-619-1402. I'm sure you've experienced suicidal situations or loved ones, friends, co-workers who committed suicide. It's not the children of, because this discussion tonight is really an opportunity for us to say, how are we going to save those who don't want to be saved?
So let me repeat that number again for the audience. We would love to hear from you and your input. That number is 678-619-1402. 678-619-1402. We would love to have your participation.
So, 1996. This is 2020. Another 6 years, that means 30 years, and calling myself policing in this thing we call Metro Atlanta. Isn't it amazing to hear that suicide rates among black females, and we claim we love our women so much, is rising rapidly?
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
It's really crazy.
It really is.
Because my first suicide was a black female. You ever ask yourself, what as men that we can do to start saving our women, is the lack of a better term? Because eventually y'all going to have children, and you may be blessed with daughters.
Right.
You may be in a situation where even your child's mother, you know, even if y'all together, separated, may have a mental breakdown. And if you don't have custody of your child, or you're not part of the household, at some point you may become the primary parent by yourself.
Right.
Who says it's okay to get help? Again, people, you know, have this stigma about seeing a psychiatrist. It's okay. We all need help at some point in our lives. It's okay. It's not a sign of weakness, which people often think that if you seek help, that is a sign of weakness, but it's a sign of strength if you have a problem to get help. There's nothing wrong with it.
I'm glad you're saying that, Doc. Do you have discounts for black men? Because, I mean,
it's interesting. I have a private practice, and most of the people in my practice are black women. I mean, I have some black men, but the majority of the people who come to see me are black women.
Do you feel that just women, period, would seek, you know, help from a professional like yourself before men would?
Yes, because I have black women, white women. I mean, I have all kind of races, but the majority of the people who come see me are women. I have some men, but the majority are women that come to see me.
Do you have a coupon on Groupon? I mean, something, you know, if you give us a break, I'm pretty sure, gentlemen, if y'all know they ain't going to cost you too much, you go do it, right?
All right,
free consultation, or, you know, that
definitely would.
And you know, it sounds funny, but seriously, men, we have to be motivated to seek outside help. Because too many of us, pride, we man, we strong. Like
that's
the
biggest one.
That's the biggest one. The next biggest one, pray on it.
Yeah. And you know, with me being in the ministry, a lot of people, they always say those cliche phrases and don't know how to actually utilize those phrases themselves. Like if I tell you, pray for it, gotta work it out. If that person don't know who God is, and you can't teach them about who God is, and you don't take the time to do it, then what you just said was ineffective.
There you go.
Just like you said, a catchword, a phrase, a slogan.
Yeah, it's like that's like trying to, you know.
And you know, even in the ministry, my biggest problem is, especially those, they mean well, but you tell your congregation, I'm all you need. I'm your voice to God. Personally, I believe I'm my voice to God. There's nobody external can speak to God for me better than I can.
That's right.
Second, if you really care about me, you'll steer me in a direction where I can get help, professional help.
That's right.
You would be right there giving me support, praying with me when I want to pray,
Right.
but you be in my psychologist's office or at least driving me there.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you're going to make sure I get professional help. And
Yeah, churches definitely need to do more when it comes to, encouraging people seeking mental health. This happens like Mount Ephraim, where Penny and I attend Dr. White. He has a very proactive and positive stance, and he's written books. In fact, he wrote a book called I Ain't Crazy, I Don't Need Help, and it's to encourage people to get mental health. So the church can do a lot in terms of promoting mental health.
Is that supposed to be the number one hospital for psychiatric problems because of the fact that you go there and you're seeking help.
Exactly.
Like hurt people go to the church to get help. And so as a result of that, you help them. Okay.
So we're going to take a 5-minute break at this point, and we'll return. Again, that number to call in after the break is 678-619-1402. 678-619-1402. The topic is teen suicide.